Laoshi Lawrence McElroy here with another Facebook Live session on Monday morning at 10 a.m. Just a few seconds before 10 a.m. or it could be 10 a.m. right now. So a little bit different look this morning. I'm standing, just sort of an upper torso shot. That sort of speaks to the content that we're going to be having here in a little bit. But anyhow, let's talk about this different look, aside from the fact that it's torso up. A little cleaner picture. I am able to use my wife's HD camera this morning. As soon as I got back from vacation, and I knew that this was going to be the situation in which we would find ourselves, I ordered an HD camera, so all of my sessions could have a nice, clean, clear picture. I ordered it from a certain vendor. I paid for a speedy service, and I think the third postponement would be I'd get the camera sometime in June, and by the time that had rolled around, there weren't any HD cameras anymore. So my wife home offices, she gets the preference on the HD camera, so most of the time during the day I don't have access to it, but I do this morning. So a little bit cleaner picture. So anyway, there's the story behind the picture. So what we're going to do today, we're here at 10 a.m. because that's when our suspended class at Sachem Public Library in Holbrook, New York, would generally start. But of course, we're also here for the greater community. What we're going to do today is a standard for Water Tiger School, and it's something that I do my best to introduce as many of my public class students as I can. As well as it's something that Water Tiger likes to incorporate whenever we do public events, because we have found these exercises to be very beneficial, and some of you may already be ahead of me. And what we're going to do today is sort of a little deep drill, a lot of focus on detail of the Shaolin Qigong grabbing air hand exercises. So a little bit about what Qigong is. Qigong more or less translates as seize and control. So it's sort of a Chinese grappling technique. Matter of fact, I talk about when we do certain of the stretches that they actually are Qigong. They can be utilized in a Qigong fashion or a seize and control fashion. So there are different levels to Qigong. You have the basic joint manipulation, which is, you grab a finger and twist and pull. You want to turn up the volume a little bit, thumb right at the joint, and that puts added pressure on the finger. You can do wrist manipulation, a wrist press, a wrist lock, elbow lock. When we do Tai Chi is very much, can very much be used to lead into Qigong. Some of the applications actually are Qigong oriented. If you know rollback, a large rollback, the punch is coming in this direction. I'm blocking it, hooking, not grabbing, and placing the second hand as I pull the arm this way, place the second hand on the elbow to create a joint lock in the arm as I redirect the energy down into the side. That's really a Qigong application. There's also muscle and tendon grabbing. So you probably can't see with the t-shirt here, but I'm digging the thumb in the separation of the bottom of the bicep, and then the same type of place here to twist the muscle and induce, well, that kind of hurt, a little bit of pain. So what is important in Qigong is hand and finger strength and dexterity. So these exercises were introduced to me when I was at Black Dragon School. And most of the reason for that, or at least part of the reason for that, was Mesmer Sifu utilized a lot of Qigong in his martial instruction. I have kept them and I have used them on the mat, in the room, and remotely, because we have found over the years that there are some great health benefits here. That's not the original reason that I kept them in the public sessions when I first started teaching publicly, before I started teaching studio classes. It was actually something I mentioned when we were doing wrist stretches in a live session recently, that I read an essay one time, and the essayist had indicated that he knew that he wasn't connecting to his Tai Chi forms when he could feel his wrists. In other words, sort of his wrists were overactive or underactive or something. There was something going on with his wrist. And I thought the hand stretches that we do before and hand exercises are a good way to sort of build our awareness in this part of our body. So there you go in a nutshell, sort of a little bit of what Chinaya is, a little bit of why we do this. Now, I mentioned that the health benefits. Let me just give you sort of a preview of what some of those are. Now, the most basic, actually both came from the same gentleman. He said, you know, since I've been doing these hand exercises, I no longer swear when I have to open a bag of peanuts. So kind of cute, kind of funny. He also said that there was a lamp that he has that's a family heirloom that he really loves. So he continues to use it, but the switch had gotten so tight that the only way he could turn it on and off was to grab a pair of pliers and keep a pair of pliers next to the lamp. He no longer has to keep the pliers there. And that leads us into a broader anecdotal result. And that's a lot of people have said that they've told me that they've been able to set aside their the devices that they use to help them open jars and that sort of thing. So everybody can use that. Now, deeper, one of our favorite stories is about a woman who I met at a Tai Chi in the Park event. She'd been at that Tai Chi in the Park event for a couple of weeks, and we did the hand exercises every week because, you know, I like creating that kind of pain. And she joined a public class, and we were about 2 weeks into the public class. So it'd been about a month. And she said, she pulled me aside one day. She said, you know, when I met you a month ago, the arthritis that I have in my hands so bad that I have to set my alarm 90 minutes in the morning before I want my day to start, because it takes that long when I first stir for my hands to release so I can actually use them in the morning. And she said, I don't have any sort of practice regimen or anything. I simply do the hand exercises when I have time. She defined herself as a taxi cab mom. And she said that, she when she's stuck in traffic or waiting to pick somebody up or something, she'd be doing the hand exercises. And she said, now, 4 weeks after meeting you and starting these hand exercises, I can set my alarm for when I want my day to start. The hand exercises gave her 90 minutes. Now, another one was sort of a funny, almost tragic thing. Another gentleman, sort of the same process. He started in a Tai Chi in the Park event. He joined a public class. He'd been in class for about a month. He pulled me aside and he said, I want to tell you something. He said, you know that sobriety test that they do when they pull you over? And my thought was, oh my God, I got somebody out of a OMVI ticket. And I knew what he was talking about. And he said, it's this exercise. You can do it with me, right? You count 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Index, middle, ring, pinky, pinky, ring, middle, index, back and forth. And he was doing that as he was talking to me. And he said, I have early stages Parkinson's. I've not been able to do that for years. Again, a month of hand exercises, and he improved his dexterity and his movement awareness that much. Now, as always, peanuts, jars, arthritis, Parkinson's, mileage may vary. And these results are not guaranteed. But I've kept these hand exercises because in 30 years of doing them, I've met one person where they had sort of a negative impact instead of a positive impact. Dupuytren's contracture, I probably mispronounced. I think it's Dupuytren's. But Viking's disease, Celtic disease, when the fibrous tissue in your hands start to harden, and it pulls the ring finger down, and then for a lot of people, other fingers start to follow. I had somebody, and usually the only two treatments for that is medication or surgery. I had somebody who had been diagnosed with that, but it started to reverse, and she credited the hand exercises for that reversal. Again, mileage may vary. But anyway, so that's why we keep them. Now, I'm going to shake out my hands. You should shake out yours too. We'll get to the hand exercises themselves. Careful. We're sort of doing what's known as a ballistic stretch here. We're sort of going to let gravity and motion take care of the stretch, and it's very easy to snap your joints beyond their range of motion. I'm toning mine down because if I go at full force, somebody at what I can do, Somebody might follow me, and they've done that before in a public class, even after that caveat I just gave. And the next week they showed up in light wrist braces. So just be careful here. The stretches themselves don't have the same sort of health benefit and aren't as versatile as the grabbing air exercise. So be very careful if you have advanced arthritis or carpal tunnel syndrome or something like that in your hands and your wrists. So the first stretch, we did these with the wrist stretches. You're going to put the palm out as if saying stop. Now notice my forearm is parallel to the earth, or the bottom of your screen. See, all points, elbow to wrist, pretty much hit the bottom of the screen at the same time. The other palm goes back. I need to set my timer here. Sorry. Let me do that. Comes back and starts to pull, gently pressing. I'm going to stay away from the word pull. Gently pressing the hand back at an angle, like you're trying to reach the top of the hand to the top of the forearm. If I'm in my pads of my fingers, it's more intense. If I start to go down, base of the fingers, palm of the hand, it's much less intense. So do what's right for you. We just got a few seconds left in this first stretch. About 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now the hand that's up, drop it down. Again, the forearm is parallel to the earth. My wrist isn't like this. My wrist isn't like this. It's pretty much even with my forearm. Thumb goes right in the fold of the wrist, right where the wrist and the hand meet. Not in the space between the thumb and the other thumb and forefinger, but right in the floppy part of the wrist. Then reach across the back of the downward pointing hand and gently pull back. Keep your shoulders dropped and relaxed. This can sort of happen as you're doing the stretches. You want to keep the shoulders down and relaxed. Breathing. Here, you want to turn up the intensity a little bit. You start reaching the pads of the fingers up toward the bottom of the forearm. Eventually, in a 300-400 years, we want to be able to get the whole palm of the hand on the bottom of the forearm. He says jokingly. 3, 2, 1. Skipping to a wrist rotation. Again, the forearm is parallel. Hold the wrist however you want to isolate the wrist. And then as large of range of motion as you can muster without any grinding, right? Popping generally okay. Grinding, good for coffee, but not for wrist joints. About 3 times in one direction, about 3 times breathing in the opposite. Little shake. Same 3 stretches to the other side. First is palm out, like you're saying stop. Again, forearm more or less parallel to the earth, palm of the hand back. Gentle press. Now I'm engaging my muscles here, but I'm not forcing. I'm not using my strength to take me beyond my range of motion. I'm supporting the stretch. Now, as you can see, my left hand and wrist is more flexible than my right. I'm really not sure when I started here, but I think it was over the top of the 60-second mark. So we'll go about 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now the fingers that are up drop down. Again, this space right here at the wrist, where the breathe tattoo is that I'm sure you all have, is where your thumb goes, where a watch or a bracelet would set. And we're here for about another 30 seconds. Eventually, it should feel like the thumb is going to be in the way. But right now, it sort of puts the emphasis, the thought, the attention into the wrist and into the motion so you don't overextend. It also sort of supports the wrist a little bit there for beginners. Breathing, relaxing, and releasing. 2 and 1. Hold the wrists. I'm going to face you again on this because that way you get to see the full rotation, just like an airplane propeller. But nice and slow, not fast. Sorry, the airplane propeller, probably not the best description for everybody. And reverse. You want as full range of motion as you can without grinding. Crunching, good for chips, not for wrists. A double shake. So the grabbing air exercises, you really want to feel exactly like you're grabbing something and letting it go. It's no good. Yes, motion is good. If I'm doing this is the first one, tiger claw. If I'm doing this, I'm moving things. So that's good. But I want the intent of actually grabbing a hold of something and then throwing it away. Catch and throw is a good image for this. So the first exercise, we're going to do a full range. We're going to do at least one exercise. Probably none of you who have done them for years in like the Sachem Public Library program that's been going on for a long time, have probably never ever done before. So you get a little bonus today. Tiger claw, we do one hand at a time for focus. All 5 digits close and you make a fist. This is a fist with the thumb on the outside. This is not a fist. This is a pathway to breaking your hand. This is a fist. So you open and close, throw and catch, throw and catch, throw and catch as many times as you can in 30 seconds. I think I'm going to stay sideways here for the sight line. Help you out a little bit. And beginning, well, whenever, I'll just push the button. All right, so I'm going to start out. All the way open, all the way closed, all the way open, all the way closed. Don't try to match my speed. And I'm holding it back here, right? I'm not going at my full speed because I want you have to have that full range of motion all the way open, all the way closed to reap all of the benefits. 2 and 1 and switch, other hand. Now, I don't know, you've probably heard me say this before, but the left isn't the right and the right isn't the left. So there's going to be differences. The idea is eventually those differences start to get a little bit less, which reminds me of another benefit. 10 seconds left. Tiger claw, all the way open, all the way closed. Throw and catch, throw and catch. And take a break and shake that out. So I'm more or less a righty. And for most of, the first, let's see, how old am I? First third of my life. Yeah, that's probably about right. Maybe quarter. When I did, when I trimmed my nails and then filed them down, when I did the left hand, fine, trim the nails, run the file over the thumbnail, over the fingernail with my right hand moving. When I got to my left hand, 1, the cutting was terrible. And 2, hold the file still and move my right thumb and my right index fingernail over the file. So the left hand was stationary. And one day, probably a good 15 plus years ago, I was trimming and filing my nails. And I suddenly realized that when I was filing my right hand with my left, my right hand was stationary and I was moving my left. I have no idea when that happened, but it happened. So the second hand exercise called crane claw, and notice the pinky and the ring finger are closed and they're going to stay closed. They should not open and close with the others. What we're doing with the remaining 3 digits, the thumb, the index, and the middle finger, is exactly what we did with tiger claw. Tiger claw, all 5 making a fist. Crane claw, pinky and ring finger stay closed, close and open, close and open. And again, thumb on the outside. You're going to find this one a little harder. So 30 seconds, as many times as you can. Don't worry about counting. Go. I'm going to turn sideways for a moment, not only to show the throw and catch, but you might be able to catch the fact that I'm not just pumping my arm and everything else is still, that there's movement through my whole body as I'm doing this. This is why I sort of moved away. So maybe you can sort of catch that the hips and the torso is sort of turning within this as well. 3, 2, 1, switch. Open and close, open and close, open and close. 30 seconds, we're already 5 seconds in. Crane claw, first was tiger claw. Breathing. Relaxing. Releasing. Another little health benefit story actually, and pause and check that out, comes directly from my personal experience with crane claw. When I first started doing these at Black Dragon School 30 years ago or so, right hand, absolutely no issue, open and close. Left hand, first time ever, open and close. And these big tendons over the back of the hand that run to the knuckles, the one on the ring finger on my left hand, as I opened and closed in crane claw, would pop back and forth over the knuckle. And if you think that sounds like it was painful, you should feel it. It was astoundingly painful. So one day, 30 years ago, took the index finger of my other hand, put it on that tendon on the outside, on the left side of that knuckle, and began opening and closing the hand. And I did that consistently. Only took, I don't know, a couple of weeks, 2.5 weeks or something. I thought I'd give it a try. Whoops. I thought I'd explore if I'd made any progress. And I did it. It didn't move then. It hasn't moved since. We can get better. If you're having difficulty keeping the pinky and the ring finger closed on that, hold them. If you need some help closing the fingers in any of the exercise, go ahead and take that moment to get the extra help. And then maybe eventually you can just tap, and then maybe eventually the other hand can go away. So the next two exercises, very similar. It's just it's a change of direction. They're called finger waves. The thumb is uninvolved. So again, if it wants to party with the other digits, hold on to it. It's not invited. The first finger wave starts on the outside of the hand, goes to the inside. So we close pinky, and notice the other fingers are going to follow, and that's okay. Ring, middle, index. Let's see, what was the first finger closed? Oh yeah, the pinky was the first one closed. It's also the first one up. Pinky, ring, middle, and index. Pinky, ring, middle, and index down. Pinky, ring, middle, and index up. Down and up. Down and up. Down and up. It's not perfect separation. They follow each other down. They follow each other up. And you get as close to the palm of the hand as you can. As a matter of fact, it's the same with the other exercises. If you don't have a range of motion that allows you to close all the way, you can only close this much or this much or this much. Just imagine something in that space, squeeze it, and then throw. So it's the same thing here. And also, if you want to curl to the points of the fingers and unfurl, and points of the fingers and unfurl, I like the pads of the fingers myself down. So other hand, just feel what that's like. Pinky, ring, middle, and index down. Pinky, ring, middle, and index up. Pinky, ring, middle, and index down. Pinky, ring, middle, index up. The next is reversing that direction. Again, the thumb is uninvolved. The second finger wave starts with the index. Index, middle, ring, and pinky down. Again, the first finger down is the first finger up. Index, middle, ring, and pinky. Index, middle, ring, and pinky down. Index, middle, ring, and pinky up. Index, middle, ring, and pinky down. Index, middle, ring, and pinky up. Feel the other side. Get a sense of what that is like. We're going to go for a full 2 minutes here, switching back and forth between the sides. 30 seconds is enough. Let me tell you, I don't care what your game is, start playing a little bit harder and faster within the 30 seconds. Don't go longer, and don't do both hands at the same time. Again, we want to split the hands to make sure that we have focus. So first finger wave, pinky to index, 30 seconds. Pinky, ring, middle, and index down. Pinky, ring, middle, and index up. One at a time. 4, 3, 2, 1 down. 4, 3, 2, 1 up. Breathing, relaxing, and releasing. Not perfect separation. And by the way, if you need to do this as you're doing the exercise to make sure that you know which finger it is that should be closing, that's fine. And then start to build speed. Pattern, intent, switch is more important than speed. You want to make sure that you have the intent of closing and opening, catching and releasing. You want to make sure that you have the correct pattern, that you're making a fist in the first two exercises, that you have the finger separation in these two exercises before you start thinking about building speed. Just about 5 seconds left. First direction, second hand. 4, 3, 2, 1. First hand, oops, let me clear that. First hand, other direction. Index, middle ring, and pinky. Go. Index, middle ring, and pinky down. Index, middle ring, and pinky up. Breathing, relaxing, and releasing. I need to look at the camera and talk to you guys more than watch my hands, because it's sort of fascinating watching myself do the hand exercises. I don't usually have that opportunity. 10 seconds left. First hand, second direction. The finger wave. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last hand in the finger wave, second direction. So second hand, second direction. Index, middle, ring, and pinky down. Index, middle, ring, and pinky up. Index, middle, ring, and pinky down. Index, middle, ring, and pinky up. Breathing. Now you'll find you don't quite get a whole body movement with this one, at least to start. Eventually you can get more of a throw and catch pattern. Once you get the intent and the pattern down, you can start to involve the whole body. 2 and 1. So some of you have done some of these next hand exercises. Some of you haven't. The first is the 4-finger wave. It's also called the broken wing. I think because it's one hand, right? Or one wing flapping. Thumb is again uninvolved. If you need to hold on to it, hold on to it. Keeping all 4 together, all the way down and all the way up, all the way down and all the way up. Now, I recognize some people have different things going on in their hand. You know, if you've broken your hand a few times, you may never be able to get that pinky back in there again, but maybe eventually you can get it a little bit closer, right? No Vulcan salutes. Peace and long life. All the way down, all the way up. And by the way, feel it on the other side. This is not the sound of one hand clapping. Well, it sort of is, but it's not the answer to the Zen proverb. First hand, 4-finger wave, 30 seconds, go. Together all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down. Might also call this bye-bye. Almost 15 seconds in. Breathing, releasing, and relaxing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Other hand. Again, same thing. All together all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down. I'm lightly pressing my fingers together sideways to allow them to stay together all the way up and all the way down. Already 15 seconds in. Breathing. You know I keep saying that. Don't hold your breath. Breathe deep, breathe relaxed. 3, 2, 1, and shake that up. So we've gotten tiger claw, crane claw, finger wave, pinky to index, index to pinky, and now the 4-finger wave. Next, I didn't name these. I don't like broken wing, that's why I don't use it. I call it the 4-finger wave. It's the swimming octopus. Now, depending upon how your octopus wants to swim, when I have seen octopus swimming, they've actually, it's been sort of a threat situation because I guess I'm threatening. They put their tentacles together and swam like a fish, so they look like a fish instead of an octopus. But they bring the tentacles in and then splay them out to propel them forward. That is this motion in swimming octopus, except as we bring them together, we're moving forward, and as we separate them, we're moving backward. So it is sort of swimming octopus, but sort of not. And we want to bring the pads of the 5 of the 1 together. If you're not familiar with 5 of the 1 or 10 of the 2, here's 2, 10 digits. Here's 1, 5 digits. So it's not really an octopus, it's sort of a pentapus. But notice pads of the 5 digits are together. I'm not making a fist again. I'm bringing it to that point, sort of crane's beak that we use at various aspects of our form. So feel that with the other hand. Splay and together, splay and together, splay and together. 30 seconds, first hand. Go. Throw and catch, throw and catch, throw and catch. Breathing. Only one left. We usually consider the 4-finger wave and swimming octopus as sort of a bonus round. Third one I actually avoided for a number of years. 2 and 1 and switch. Oops, probably. Let me slow it down again. And again, if you can relax and let more of the torso move and sort of feel like it's actually sort of coming from the center, from the Xia Dan Tian, more power to you. So more of the body is involved, but still focusing on the hand. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, I will say some of you have done this next hand exercise as part of a Qigong approach to hand exercises, where we do both hands and move them very slowly. So you have sort of explored, some of you have probably explored this, a different version of this. But again, it's one hand, but it is all 5 digits, one at a time. It's called the flying finger wave. I have an issue with that because we'd have a whole philosophical discussion as to whether or not, well, not really philosophical, more anatomical discussion as to whether or not the thumb is a finger or its own digit. But anyway, I call it pain. Thumb goes in, and again, all the way. If you can get the pad or the point to the palm of the hand, great, and then opens. Then the index finger, then the middle, then the ring, then the pinky. Then you go back to the thumb, index, middle, ring, and pinky. Thumb, index, middle, ring, and pinky. Thumb, index, middle, ring, and pinky. Other hand, feel what that's like. Now, some of you who may not have been challenged by any of the other hand exercises, either in pattern or in comfort versus discomfort, may not be able to do this exercise for now, but maybe eventually you will be. So last hand exercise, the flying finger wave or flying digit wave is actually what I call it. I don't really call it pain. 30 seconds and go. Thumb, index, middle, ring, and pinky. Thumb, index, middle, ring, and pinky. Thumb, index, middle, ring, and pinky. Thumb, still grabbing a hold of something, even in the finger waves, one at a time down, one at a time up, or they follow each other, sorry. In the finger waves, you still want to feel like you're grabbing a hold of something just one finger at a time and letting go of it one finger at a time. Now, you're grabbing and letting go one finger at a time. 3, 2, and 1. Last hand exercise. Thumb, index, middle, ring, and pinky. 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 Breathing all the way to the palm of the hand if you can. If you can't, create something in your imagination in that space and do a little isometric squeeze before you let it go. Almost home. 3, 2, and 1. And shake that out carefully, right? So we've had some hand stretches, some wrist stretches, palm out, fingertips back, palm down, fingertips up, wrist rotation, 2 directions, about 3. Always careful of your range of motion and taking into consideration any challenges you may have in your wrist, forearm, and hand. Matter of fact, if the wrist stretches themselves tend to exacerbate the issue that you think the grabbing air exercises would be able to address, do something to warm up your hands, shake, little light opening, casual openings and closings to get some blood and some circulation in there, and then do the grabbing air exercises and skip the wrist stretches altogether. The hand exercises, again, one hand at a time. Tiger claw, all 5 digits, opening and closing, throwing and catching, throwing and catching. Crane claw, opening, throwing, just the 3 digits, pinky and ring fingers stay closed, and catching, throwing and catching, throwing and catching. Having something upon which you're grabbing. It's grabbing air, right? The finger wave, again, grabbing something one finger at a time, pinky to index, letting go one finger at a time, pinky to index. Then grabbing something one finger at a time from index to pinky and letting it go. Then again, both of those with the thumb uninvolved. This one with the thumb uninvolved as well. All 4 fingers down, together grabbing something and letting it go. Throwing and catching, throwing and catching. Swimming octopus. Drawing in, splaying apart, drawing in, catching and throwing, catching and throwing. And then the flying digit wave. Thumb, index, middle, ring, and pinky. Thumb, index, middle, ring, and pinky. So there you go. Nice little symposium workshop sort of on our Shaolin Shina grabbing air exercises for a little hand dexterity, strength, a little bit of flexibility, and just generally good hand health. So thanks very much for tuning in. We'll be back here at 10 o'clock on Monday again, as sort of a touching base with our Sachem Public Library folks, but we'll also be here at 10:15 tomorrow morning because we have another long-term program that's currently suspended because of the COVID-19 crisis at West Babylon Public Library. Now, though I love the hand exercises, I don't consider them sort of a Laoshi favorite. We're going to be doing a series in these next few sessions of Laoshi favorites. I know for some of you, as soon as they say that, it's like, well, I'm not going to watch those because the things that he loves are really hard. But tune in. I hope you'll have fun. There's a reason that they're my favorites. And that reason is it really addresses things that we need to learn for our Tai Chi. And that's what makes them tough. So anyway, there you go. Thanks again. Be sure if you have questions, that sort of thing. I guess I haven't figured out how to monitor comments live with this yet. So I need to look at that. But if you have questions or concerns or anything like that, put them in the comments and we'll get them addressed. And aside from that, keep washing your hands, stay at home, flatten the curve, and we'll get through this together. So thanks a lot. Catch you next time.